This is a follow-up to the life-size papercraft rim figure I posted on a few subreddits about a day or so ago. This right here is my papercraft figure for ARP rim, not rim, but ARP Kongou, sorry. Since I don't know how to pronounce the actual name of the anime Kongo's from, I just call it ARP for ease of use and whatnot. But just like Rim, she is also classified as a papercraft figure because she is also made out of cardstock. Though the thing that she's sitting on is made out of foam board. Kongou herself took about, I want to say a month or so to build, but if I include the actual rest that she's sitting on and all the little other bits, in grand total, she probably took about like 3 months to build. And that's because I had to go through multiple RC car iterations to find the one RC car that can actually tow all this weight. And then combined, the actual weight of everything is about 20 odd pounds. So an RC car from Walmart of all places is actually capable of towing all this crap, which is quite surprising to me. And I'm also quite surprised that all this actually functions. So other than her looking pretty, she does do one more thing, and let me get my phone out to do that. Hopefully I don't screw it up. And I don't. Of course, a motorcycle comes by. Everything for the sound system is all hooked up via Bluetooth. I have a little Bluetooth receiver inside the base. And as you also saw, the turrets move. That is due to the rudder channel on my controller here. And of course, as I also stated, the thing's connected via Bluetooth, and the Bluetooth transmitter in my phone here is a total garbage fest. So I'm just going to pause it. So I'm just going to pause the music. So when I actually go to my local anime conventions, which I was hoping to do this year, which unfortunately is not going to happen, I would actually use maybe like a better phone or a hardline connection, so I don't have audio cutouts like you just saw. But as you can also tell, the turrets do turn. And I also have the LEDs in the turret set up for if I just want to have them be glowing, I can also plug them into their own little battery bank. But for the sake of this video, I wanted them to go to the beat of the music as you just saw. But with that said, let's do one more thing before I end this part of the video, and actually drive her around. Now, since I'm driving her one-handed, I really can't do all the crap I want to, which is manipulate the turrets as I drive, but I can at the very least drive her around. I have to be a bit more cautious with her because driving her one hand is a bit difficult, especially considering the last thing I want to do is have her tip over or crash. And that's full power. Actually, that's not true full power. Let me go and change the throttle trim on the controller to give you full power. That's full throttle trim. So she is relatively fast, especially considering, again, the car that I'm using to drive her around is from Walmart. Okay, I better stop now. I almost crashed her. So yeah, this is more or less one-upping my life-size Rim figure. And I am very, very happy to this day with how well she came out. Though I kind of wish I could have gotten a better solution for the audio for this video, but what you gonna do? I didn't know my LG G5's Bluetooth radio was total hot trash. But what you gonna do? Live and let learn. Let this be a complete BTFOing of my life-size RAM figure I posted onto the few subreddits, as I stated. Alright, I guess I should also state this now, since this is the boring part of this video. I am a one-man camera crew, so I'm going to try and get the angles I can, but don't expect much. I'm also in my kitchen. It's the biggest room in my house, and I am still living with my parents, so there's also that. So with that all out of the way, I might as well go through the bass right here that I have for Kongou. First, I'm going to go over the turrets here and how I have them set up. So as you saw in the first part of the video, these turrets do turn around, and the actual guns fully light up with LEDs in them. And simply put, how I did this is I have one big servo in each four turrets. This big old thing right here, basically mounted directly in the middle, and it locks into this little plate right here. It's more or less enough to actually keep the servo in place, but every now and then the turrets actually do like to shift out of their placement. So I'm going to put something here so these actually don't do that. But when it comes to connecting them, here I have a servo extension that goes into the base right here, and I have an extra cable here. This cable right here is for the lights. And of course here you can get a more proper idea of how everything's set up. The servo screwed into this little servo horn that these servos come with, and I have it screwed into that, and I just have it entrenched via hot glue, and I just have a little plug right here for the lights, and that's all I really need, and that's really all I need for the turrets to function right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove all the other turrets, and then I'm going to come back. Now, one of the joys about the setups I have for the turrets here is that every now and then, even though when I go try to pull the leads out to disconnect the turrets, sometimes the leads get stuck or they fall back. So I made this little, basically duct tape with a paper clip, and it allows me to get into these little crevices and actually pull out the parts so they don't fall in. And I tend to keep this thing inside the actual main structure of the base right here, which I'll show in a little bit. But I first want to try and get this other tab out. Oh, great, lovely. Now it's really in there good. Let's see. There it is. Got a hold of it. There we go. Give me you little stinker. Yeah, the cables for this side aren't exactly the longest. So I'm still in the process of figuring out how to properly place these wires when I go to pull them out, or when I go to remove the turrets. So I guess the next thing I need to do is to talk about how these little side cheeks are actually attached. Actually, no, I need to go through the inside of here, or the inside of the base, so give me a second. This right here is the inside of the main base for the structure that she sits on, and I even have a little light in here, but the batteries are disconnected. There we go. That way, so again, when I'm at an anime convention and something goes wrong, I can easily flip this switch and figure out what's going on. And I can also use this light to actually give you a general idea of how everything's set up. So when it came to the sound system and getting the LEDs to work, I have to get the LEDs to run off a whole separate amplifier so they can actually be powered correctly. Now this is the amp I'm currently using, and now I'll actually show you the connections I have set up. So give me a second. This right here is the main Bluetooth receiver I was using. Maybe if I had put this little receiver up probably somewhere up towards here where I could actually get more proper view of the phone, but whatever. That was all that issue. So I have it going from this little aux cable into this little split out with a female 3.4mm jack that goes directly to this little audio cable. This little audio cable here goes all the way up into here, goes into this side cheek here, that is to the main amplifier for the bass, which is right here. This little main amplifier is actually from a iHome I got from give me a second. Sorry, I was sitting in a weird, awkward position and it was hurting my muscles. This is an iHome I got from Goodwill before the pandemic, and I just basically took the guts out of it, built it into this little box here, and I have it to where I can slide in and out if I need to work on it. And of course I have a little simple pull tab. This is the actual main amplifier that runs the two speakers in the front here, which I really can't see if you can see or not. So normally, most of the time, I don't need to actually use the, so I have the option to, like I stated, run the LEDs normally for just a simple battery bank, or run them off a amplifier like I did initially in the first part of the video. And here's that battery bank I actually use to run the LEDs off normally. So right now I have the LEDs actually connecting directly to this little amp right here with these little plugs. And if I want to use the LEDs on the battery, and if I just want to use the LEDs on the lights here or on the turrets here, and I just want to use this battery bank, all I do is I just disconnect this, disconnect this, disconnect that, and I can just chuck this, and I can just chuck that amplifier over there and clean all this crap up. Chuck that out of the way, and of course I'll still keep the main audio cable because I need to have something to provide the audio to the main amp. And this is the main battery to said amp. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked. But what I do for the LEDs is I just plug them into this little tree right here. If I can figure out which way they go. Goes like that. And of course, goes like somewhere like that. I mean, you get the general idea. And then they just basically Y harness together to this little battery bank, and I just press the on button, and the LEDs on the turrets, which as of right now are not connected, but the LEDs will just stay a constant purple. But again, for the sake of the video, I want them to actually be interactive with the audio and whatnot. And of course, when it comes to the servos, again, here's the actual servo extensions that go to the servos inside the turrets. I have them both. I have two extensions, one on the top here and one on the bottom here. They all go into a Y harness in here, and then that Y harness goes all the way out to here. And of course, you can see where it basically connects to. The Y harness from this side cheek goes to here. The Y harness from this side cheek goes to here, and it goes all the way down into here. And then this is the main extension cable that goes to the RC truck, which I'll show you how the RC truck works in a little bit. But I also want to go through how the actual how the side cheeks are actually connected. So let me go and remove this and this cable. These two little cables are labeled with strips of duct tape. These two cables are for the speakers, so both right and left channel can have the proper connection, and so I can actually play audio properly. And when it comes to the side cheeks, believe it or not, the side cheeks are just held on by rare earth magnets. So what I have two rare earth magnets on the top here, two rare earth magnets right here, both on both side cheeks. And so I basically have a total of 4 on the side cheeks, and I have a total of 4 on the side of the bass. Again, there are 2 right here where you can see indentations, and there's also 2 right here, somewhere in there. The reason why I have the duct tape there is so the magnets actually don't come shooting out. Because when I was initially setting up the side cheeks to be held on by magnets, I actually had a set just come flying out and ruining everything. So I had to go in there and re-hot glue everything, reinforce it significantly. And so far I haven't had any issues. So that's pretty much how the side cheeks are held together and whatnot. And also that's a fairly rough explanation of how I have everything wired up. Again, there's a reason why I put this part of the video at the very last, because this is more of me just kind of going over everything of how everything's set up and whatnot. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm also going to break this thing down and see if I can somehow stick this thing in my closet towards the end of this video. So I'll go and remove this other side cheek. Now, as you can tell, this side cheek has a lot more cables because this side cheek again has the main amplifier and whatnot inside it. So it has quite a few extra cables. And of course, then this right here is just the main, and of course this right here is just the main, thing Kongou sits on. Initially, when I was building Kongou, this was all that Kongou was going to sit on. But thanks to Azure Lane coming out with a PS3 game or PS4 game and then later on a PC game, I decided to take their little idea and just add it on to Kongou. Which I might as well go away and actually explain a little bit of Kongou here. So as I stated, she's also made out of paper. And she is also life size. And of course, when I take her to my anime conventions, I actually took the original Kongou set with me, or the original version 1, which is basically this and this base here, but the little side turrets were completely different compared to what I had here. It was pretty sad compared to these nice, beautiful little things I made now. But just like Rim, Kongou also is held together by a bunch of hot glue and a bunch of wood and wooden popsicle sticks. So if I remove her, you can kind of see how I have everything set up. As you can tell, she breaks apart right here, so I can easily transport her. And of course, this simple one dowel goes into the bottom of her, And you can kind of get a general idea of how everything's more or less reinforced. The same thing goes for my life-size Rim and my life-size Minmay and Freya to an extent. Each life-size figure I build has their own custom, unique superstructure throughout their body, holding them together. Now, normally when it comes to these figures, I have to put all my effort into the feet because the feet have to actually support all the weight of everything that they're standing on. But since Kongou's sitting, I didn't have to worry about anything. I just had to make sure that her feet are relatively strong and sturdy. Oh yeah, and I also forgot to explain how Kongou's held on to the base. Sorry, like I said, I rather put this at the end of the video because I'm going all over the place. So just like the side cheeks here are held on by magnets, Kongou is also held on to the base by magnets. There are two magnets here, and there's one magnet here. They're all rare earth magnets. You can see the indentation of one right here. There's again one right around here, and there's one in here. And they correspond with magnets both right here and inside Kongou herself. And those three rare earth magnets, or technically 6, is enough to actually hold Kongou down on the base to where she can relatively maintain herself on the base without falling off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over the RC car I'm actually using to lug all this around. Again, like I stated, this car is from Walmart and it's pulling 20 odd plus pounds. So it still surprises me to this day that the stinky little car I'm about to show from Walmart, it actually has the power required to lug all this around. The one thing I will state is that I believe the battery I was using in the car at the beginning of the video, the battery wasn't fully charged, so the car wasn't performing at its finest, but it was more than enough to get the job done. So with that said, I will now come back when I get the car in my rooms, then go over the RC car. Well, time to end this video off by talking about the Cybertruck here. So as you saw throughout the video, or at least the first part, this is what was towing Kongou around. Now, including to this also towing Kongou around, it also is basically the control center that also controls the turrets. So I guess first thing I want to actually talk about is the body itself. Now, like I stated, this is a Walmart car, but this body here is completely custom. This is about like a $60 to $70 rock crawler you can get at Walmart for some time back. I don't know if they're still selling it or not because I haven't been to Walmart in quite a few months because of you know what. But yeah, this is like I said, a rock crawler from Walmart. The body itself is made out of foam board, just like the base that Kongou's sitting on. And the way I got the actual body design was due to another YouTuber and their papercraft Cybertruck. So what I did is I just downloaded their plans, and I just basically upscaled it to where it fit around the chassis that that this car has. And when it comes to that, when it comes to the actual body, let's see how. And of course, here you can see there are some extra cables. Oh yeah, one other thing I forgot to mention is the lighting here. Sorry, I'm still going all over the place. But yeah, the lighting. The lighting, as you saw, is purple. This is actually one of those little cheap $5 RGB strips you can get at Squally Mart also. Now I have these lights set up to be full RGB, but I have the backlight right here just set up as a normal red stoplight and whatnot, or brake light. And since these are RGB strips, if I want to, I can go full rainbow bar just by pressing a button on this controller here. I have the little IR sensor actually sticking out on the bumper in the back right here, which here's the actual IR sensor. So if I want to, I have the option to go full rainbow bar at my anime conventions, or I can go for purple like you saw throughout to match the aesthetic with Kongou, or I can have it act just like a normal headlight like you have right here. And like I was trying to say with the body is, the body actually attaches via magnets. Because here is the actual roll cage that the rock crawler came with. This roll cage here actually used to have a nice little used to have a really nice body work on it. But since this thing is from China, they did a bit more to this thing to where it actually allows you to do modifications to it, which is again quite surprising considering this is literally a Chinese car. You can actually get this car off of AliExpress and whatnot for basically the same price. The only difference is with that one you actually have full hobby grade components inside it. This one just has simple on-off throttle and steering. So of course, as you saw, I also have a hobby grade transmitter. That's because I went and upgraded this thing to hobby grade parts, which I'll talk about in a bit. But on to the roll cage. As you can tell, I removed the original bodywork that was on this roll cage, and I added these little white panels. These little white panels have one rare earth magnet inside them each, and there's also panels inside the Cybertruck body that correspond with the panels on the roll cage. And this is enough to actually hold the body onto the chassis and whatnot. These magnets here are to allow the body to actually stick on, to actually hold on to the little thing that Kongou's sitting on. I'm forgetting what I call it, sorry. And this right here is actually a little cable. This little servo wire is actually a servo wire that goes down to the controller down here that's used to run the turrets. So I'm going to disconnect that. And when it comes to the lighting and when it comes to powering the lights right here, I just have a very simple battery bank right here, which you really can't see, but there's the actual battery bank that runs the LEDs for the body. And it's just a simple USB connection. So, one of the other nice features of this little cheap Chinese car from Walmart is, even though this thing is technically toy grade, if you know what you're doing, just like me, you can actually convert this thing to have a hobby grade aesthetics when it comes to digital controls for throttle and steering, like I did. And with that said, one thing that they did when they were making this thing in China is that they made it so the roll cage can actually pivot. So how am I going to do this? There are two screws back here that you just unscrew, and then all you need to do is make sure you don't that battery bank don't fall off and you don't lose the screws. And the whole chassis pivots as so. And I'm just going to use the magnets to hold the screws. And then once you do that, it gives you full unimpeded access to the inside of the actual chassis. And of course right here is the battery bank that runs the RGB strips for the Cybertruck sliding. It's just a simple two-cell Kodak battery bank. This little holder right here contains the battery that runs the actual car itself, and also the servos for the turrets. So like I said, this thing comes with toy grade components, a simple on-off for throttle and steering. I went and added in hobby grade components, preferably a hobby grade RC airplane controller. Here you can actually see the receiver, and if I actually go to here, here's the actual transmitter. With the way I have this RC car set up is, this is throttle for forward. I can't go into reverse because again, this was really meant for an RC airplane. It was never meant for an RC car. So this is a bit too sensitive to work with, so I just have it set up to where this little area here is neutral. That way, so when I go to turn the car on, the ESC here can actually arm properly, because if this isn't neutral, the car won't arm right. So I'm just better off just having it to where I just have throttle. Okay, and like I said, this is throttle. This controls the movement of the rudders. And this is just for steering. And another reason why I went for this type of a setup, of course also to have an extra channel for turrets, is so I can actually have something to get myself into RC aircraft, because I need to get myself started, so why not start off a transmitter and receiver as so. So yeah, so of course here it's a transmitter. Here I have a little piece right here that holds the actual antenna. I have this antenna basically duct taped to here. That way, so when I actually get an RC airplane, I just easily just pull this off and pull off the antenna without having to do hot glue stuff and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, you can already, like I said, I already did quite a few modifications to this thing. And really the only modification I truly had to do was do a little bit of, just remove a little bit of plastic here, so the servo arm can actually steer the front wheels without a problem. Because like I said, this thing, if you can get this thing, when you get this thing from AliExpress and whatnot, this thing actually has a this thing actually has high grade components. So normally there's actually supposed to be a actual servo here for steering the two front tires, but since this thing's from Walmart, they had to go for the simplified steering system and had to have a stupid ugly motor box and whatnot. So I just had to go and simply remove that, and just basically entrench this servo into the pocket here, and it works just fine. And all I did is I just raised it up a little bit with some popsicle sticks so it can actually steer properly. And I haven't had a problem since. I mean, again, if you know what you're doing, if you buy this thing, you can easily do this yourself. I just went a little bit overboard because this thing's actually meant to carry Kongou around, as you saw. And again, this thing is actually pretty wimpy, to be quite frank. I mean, it's all plastic. There's no metal in the body. The only thing that actually gives this thing the power it needs is because this thing has two motors, one here and one here in the front. That's the main reason why I chose this rock crawler when I was looking for a new car, is because this thing has two motors giving it both four-wheel drive. So this thing has the proper amount of torque required to actually lug Kongou around, as you saw. So I guess that's pretty much it for this video. I know I stated that I want to try and get this stuff inside my closet at the end, but since this video's already gone on long enough, I think I'm actually going to skip that out. I'm actually going to skip that and do it off camera and hopefully get it figured out, but I highly doubt it. So that's pretty much the overview of my life-size Kongou.